It's time for another Dice Tower review with Zee Garcia.
Hey everybody, I'm continuing my reviews of the Paco Game line of games. Paco Game 2, there already were. There was a Paco Game 1. And that was 8 little games in these boxes that look like a pack of gum. Card games, you can fit 30 cards in here, and then the designer, Chris Handy, has gone back to the factory and come up with another 8 games for this line. Today I'm going to be taking a look at this one right here, Spy. Spy is a deduction-ish kind of game in which you are trying to figure out where cards are in your opponent's hands, find them in specific order, and win the game while avoiding some bombs sitting in their hands that might, of course, blow up in your face. So I'm going to give you a look at this. I'm going to come on back after that. I'll tell you what I thought of it. I'm also going to rank it against the other 7 games just to see where it falls in line for me. And I'm going to rank it against all the other 8 games as well. So all 16. Where does this one fall among all 16 games? Let's take a look at it. This game is played completely in the hands. There is no deck of cards. There is nothing placed on the table. And so each player is going to be given the very small deck of cards here. These are the other 3 colors, of course. And they place them in their hand however they like, to whatever order they like, with the spy, which is double-sided, somewhere in there, all right? Wherever they want as well. Now, the fronts of these cards are going to show 2 safes. Safe 1, safe 2. They're going to show 2 secret documents. Again, secret document 1, secret document 2, and then 2 bombs. Bomb 1, bomb 2, with an unlit fuse and a lit fuse. These can be turned upside down. Once they become lit, I'll get to that in just 1 second. The way the game works is what you're attempting to do is open these things in order. You need to open the safe 1, then 2, then documents 1, then documents 2. Once you do that, you win, unless, of course, you blow up. And so at the beginning of the game, each player gets their hand of cards like so, and you will take turns. On your turn, you may switch the facing of your spy. Not move them, just switch them. So I could do this, so they're facing the other way. They will then move up to the number, or exactly the number they're facing, rather. And then you may spy. And again, they could change facing. And so let's say, what am I going to do? I'm going to do this. I'm going to move this way to here for 1. I moved 1. So for everybody paying attention, you know that this card I just crossed is in fact a 1. And then I'm going to spy the card I'm facing. And I pick my opponent. If you're playing with just 2, of course, the person across from you. And you spy on that card. They have to tell you the card that matches in their hand, in their arrangement, the second card from this side, and they would tell you what kind of card it is. If it's a safe, they say a safe. If it's top secret documents, they say that. If it's the next card to be revealed, meaning it is this one, if I haven't opened anything yet, they'll actually flip it around and show everyone, and then I know that the next target would be the next card. If it's a bomb, however, then they are going to say it's a bomb, and they are going to light it. And so, for example, in this case, if my opponent spies this card, I'll go, the bomb is burning, and I'll flip it, but it stays secret. From the back, you cannot tell it's been flipped face up. And from now on, everyone has to be a little more careful, because if that card is ever spied again, I show it to them, I say, boom, thanks for playing, and it goes back in my hand for any other opponent who might stumble across it. If you're playing with 2 players, of course, that game's over. You won because your opponent blew up. And that's basically it. Very simple. You are trying to be tricky with your spy movement, not give away too much information as you traverse your hand back and forth. The hand does wrap around, by the way, so if you're here, well, let's do this. If I'm here facing a 2, I will, in fact, go 1, 2. Okay, hope that makes sense. And that's it. You just find these things in order. Once you get the last one, you win. If you blow up, you lose. If your opponent blows up, you also win. That is how you play Spy. I think this one gets the prize for being the most original one in this set. There are a lot of different games here. There's Mancala style games, set collection, tile laying, tile flipping. There are some that are puzzly. There's rummy style games in here. All of those I can kind of draw a comparison to, Spy, you still can, but you gotta dig for those games a little more. Games that you play only in your hand, where the order of cards matters, where you are puzzling something out based on your hand of cards. It reminds me of this very old and sort of obscure game from Marcel André Casasola Merkel that, again, was obscure. And this is clever. It's interesting. Now, it's not perfect, and I almost wish it was maybe only for 2 players with a little more oomph. I almost wish that the designer Chris Handy had, instead of said 2 through 4 players with a small puzzle in each hand, that he has said, forget it, I'm splitting the deck in just 2 halves and give each player more to do, that there be more interesting action cards in each player's hands, things like that. And then I think this would have fully bloomed. As it is right now, I find it interesting. I prefer it with 2, but with 2, it's maybe a little easy. And then once you step up to 3 and especially 4, then the memory aspect's really going to kick in. And at that point, I'm just sort of guessing. So I recommend it with just 2. Maybe try it with 3, see if you like it. But for me, 2 players. But the originality is certainly here. It's the kind of game that is designed to be played while waiting in line or something. You just have your hand of cards. You don't need a table. You don't need anything. You're holding them the entire game. And all you got to do is move cards around and flip them over, and show your opponent until someone wins. I dig it. It's really, really interesting. And so I would recommend this one if you are looking for something different. The original one in the set here, that's Spy. Among all 8 games, Spy for me is, out of 8, it's 6. That's not that high, but it speaks to how interesting I do find most of these games. I think, again, if the idea was a little bit more of an interesting game with fewer players, designed for fewer players, it would be higher in my ranking. But as it is right now, this is 6 out of 8. Among all 16 games, Spy is my number 11. It's a little lower in the middle of the pack, as indicated by just comparing these 8, but it definitely still gets points for being clever and different. So, if that's what you're looking for, I would certainly recommend this one, but I would recommend a lot of these. Go check out the other videos for all of the games to see which ones seem to line up with your sensibilities, the kind of game you want to put in your pocket and take with, and check those out. That's Spy.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.